At one point, people had two spaces, home and work, but then there was this whole section of this additional space, the third space, where people go to gather and to create community.
My experience with that connection starts way back. Growing up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, I really had lots of opportunity to visit small operators as a kid growing up in the city. There was a place where you went to get your meats and a place where you went to get your fish, and so I had lots of really positive interactions with shopkeepers that knew my family and knew me. So I carried that with me, and that was something that I experienced sitting in this coffee shop back in, well, I guess it was 1992. People would come in, and the cashiers and the staff, they knew who they were and they knew what they wanted, and they asked after their children and their mothers, and I heard you hadn't been feeling well, it's good to see you. And I really wanted to bring that not only into where I lived in Aiken, South Carolina, but I wanted to bring it into my own life, into my own human experience, my own career as well. So to me, it was a very motivating force.
If you think back years ago to the TV show Cheers and the bar where you want to go where everybody knows your name, and it's this point of connection with people that you have something in common with. There's nothing new about coffee houses being a third space. They didn't call it a third space back then, but they've always been gathering spaces for hundreds and hundreds of years. If you go back to London in the late 1600s, there were probably a couple of hundred coffee shops. The insurance company Lloyd's of London actually started out of a coffee house in London for the people who would insure the ships that were coming in the cargo.
Third space provides this kind of this meeting ground for everyone from all walks of life to kind of come together, and which adds to, I think, another element of the experience.
Coffee can bring in so many different people from so many different aspects of life, and it just has a quality to it that just is welcoming and allows people to share.
Coffee houses have always been these places where people would gather for conversation. In France, a lot of times it was the poets and the artists and the writers and the expats, and just hotbeds of a great conversation in these debates about whatever was happening in the world that day. And we see the same thing now. And it's great. I mean, I think every society needs those kinds of places.
I would say that coffee is important to me in that it symbolizes so many opportunities to connect with people. And I feel that way about tea as well. I really feel that way about any delicious, carefully made food or beverage product that people come together to enjoy. Take a minute from their busy days and their to-do lists and all of the demands that are just on you in the modern world, and sit down, take a break, either by yourself or with other people, and enjoy something that some artisan, some other person put their heart into. Coffee fits that bill beautifully, but it isn't the only thing.
The skills that baristas require, it is a lot of patience because you're constantly out in the bar facing all the customers. despite whether they want something with their food or coffee, they're always there watching you make your drink. So it's a lot of pressure and stress. So you have to kind of learn how to like just ignore it and just focus on the drink that you're making at the time. Because, you know, if you kind of think about everybody staring at your back making your drinks, or, you know, making the drink right, like you are going to end up messing up the drink. So I would say patience and focus and dedication and like passion. You know, make it with a little TLC. You know, not just, oh, here's another drink. Like, I think a lot of passion should go into it, and customers can tell that. You can taste it. You know.
We hire a lot of people for the person they are, not necessarily their skills, because we can train them how to be a barista. So, you know, we just try to hire the best people that we can get, and then we do some training with them. You know, they need to learn how to make all the drinks. They need to learn kitchen prep they have to do. There's a lot of things. It's a long list. You know, everything from putting labels and coffee in bags to, you know, but the biggest thing is, you know, customer service and how they interact with the customers, because it's so important. I mean, that's probably the number one thing that they need to be conscious of.
Interbene's aesthetic begins with the employees. They are the atmosphere. Simply put, if you take anyone out of that equation and replace them with someone else, it changes the atmosphere. From when the customer comes in, goes up to the cash register and orders, that's where the experience starts. The eye contact, the greeting, the making them feel welcome and comfortable, that's where it starts. And from then on, it's the food, it's the drinks that they get, it's when they're sitting here and experiencing the local Augusta art or experiencing the music that's playing in the background. That is what makes Interbene Interbene.
For us, a barista has everything to do with their level of passion for the craft. We hire front of the house employees, and the ones that get the most bar time are the ones who are so passionate about it and so interested in it. I would say exclusively people that are just have that passion that's ignited when they see what can be done with coffee.
We can teach them how to pull a shot of espresso and steam milk and the correct ratios for different coffee drinks. We can't teach them how to have a passion for coffee or a passion for great customer service. Those are the two things that they have to come to us already having, and from there we can teach them pretty much everything they need to know. Some of the best baristas we've had no background working in a coffee shop, but they had without exception, they love coffee. Many of them were self-taught. They'd come in telling us, oh yeah, I have this kind of coffee maker at my house, and I bought this grinder, and I've been watching YouTube videos on how to do latte art. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna do just fine here.
It's always been important to have staff that could find a place to work where they could be who they were. The importance of that can't be understated, because it hasn't always been the case that you could go to work with a tattoo, or you could go to work as a trans person and feel welcomed. I can say that in hiring decisions that I made a conscious choice on the front end, in the beginning, to never let anybody's anything discourage me from hiring them, whether they had piercings or tattoos or if they were trans. That if you decide that you are going to be part of the community, then you are part of the community. To translate that to how that works in day-to-day operations, one of the things that I've always said and I feel very strongly about is if you are a professional and you're someone who does their job well and you are proficient at it and knowledgeable at it and your customer service is top-notch, then there is no problem. there is no worry. Anybody that has a preconceived notion of who you are and what you can do and what level of professionalism you're capable of, you show them different.
People will come in and there'll be this look of almost, not exasperation, but they're just kind of, you just kind of see their shoulders kind of heaving. They're just like, I just want a good cup of coffee. And you can tell that they've had an experience in the past at a coffee shop somewhere where the baristas kind of talked down to them because they didn't know a lot about coffee. And so when we get that, I just
We
want a
can make
good
them
cup of
just
coffee.
one
It's
really
like,
good cup of coffee.
it's like, we can do that, absolutely. And I kind of kid around with people and say that we take people wherever they are on their coffee journey. Because we have some people who walk in and they're used to drinking Folgers or Maxwell House at home, and that's their point of reference. Or they're used to running into a gas station and grabbing a cup of coffee there.
But even if they're, what we would consider the lower end of coffee, and that's our experience, we can teach them something and show them that there's something even better than that, and they usually really get that. We've converted a lot of people from Folgers and Maxwell House to really nice coffees from around the world.
Every customer that comes in here should feel welcome. They should feel like they can just relax, enjoy themselves, and enjoy the food, enjoy the drinks. And I mean, Augusta is growing. It's almost exponential at this point. And any small business that can get their foot in the door deserves it, And I hope that more pop up very soon.